It had been the best summer of her life, but also the worst. She had lost so much, but she had found courage, and for the first time, she felt like she had a future. It was time to leave the past behind. She decided to look at the photos one last time. The old woman in the next seat leaned in. Kristal paused for a moment. Did she really know these people? Or was she just making it up on the spot? What if she had answered differently? Would her memories of them change? She tried not to think about it. After all, it was natural for her mind to be scattered, considering what she had been through. The final photograph was the one of her and the boy. Kristal hesitated. She didn't know what to say. He was the reason she had made it this far, but then just the thought of it made her nauseous. Then something even more horrible dawned on her. When she saw the eagle, her blood ran cold. A million thoughts rushed through her head. How could she have been so stupid to think she'd just get on a train and get away? She was naive, and now reality caught up with her. This time, she had nowhere to run. After all, she was still the frail little girl she had always been, and he was much too strong. Maybe he was right, Kristal thought. Maybe she did deserve this. But did it really have to end this way? Funny maybe, but thrilling and exciting was a bit of an exaggeration. In fact, the circus had fallen far since its golden days. Over the last couple of years, many performers had left. But who could blame them? After all, they joined the circus expecting adventure. When they learned that the ringmaster refused to travel, they eventually got bored and moved on with their lives. The only performers left were those who had nowhere else to go. The circus was their safe haven. It didn't matter to them that the show was dull. They just wanted to escape the real world. Kristal wasn't one of the performers, but she still couldn't leave the circus. If anything, she felt like a prisoner. Sure, the circus was safe, but it was also deadly monotonous. She was tired of hiding from the rest of the world. When would it be her turn for some adventure? Sun touched her skin. She had been blindsided by summer. It was as if Mother Nature had fallen asleep on the job, only to wake up and fast forward several months overnight. For a moment, nothing else mattered. The voice was like a cloud intercepting the rays of light. Then she saw the boy. Kristal knew that opportunities like this don't grow on trees. Maybe this was her only chance to leave the circus. The boy snapped a photo and put it in his pocket. They said their goodbyes for now. Kristal was happy about meeting the boy. But could she really run off with him? It's not like the others would mind. They probably wouldn't even notice she was gone until they ran out of clean underwear. But she still owed the ringmaster a big one. She decided to give the circus one last chance. Her mind, it was time for dinner. She could smell the stew from the caravan. The fortune-telling machine was old. While it did have a coin slot, Kristal had discovered it could also be started with a well-placed slap. Kristal gave it a whack. It always said the same thing. Kristal figured the ringmaster had programmed it. Kristal shivered when she looked at the giant teddy bear. It was supposed to be an obtainable prize back when they had games at the circus, but that was a scam. Now it just stood there, staring at her in the night. The only thing inside the ticket booth was the footstool the ringmaster used to reach over the counter. That, and a tip jar with 2 popsicle sticks and a lonely shirt button. The tall lady's cat was tormenting a pigeon. It hissed when Kristal came close. It wouldn't let her pass. She would need something to shoo it away with. The tall lady's cat was she would need. The clown, a man in his best years, he was juggling, dancing and telling jokes all day long. He could put a smile on anyone. Kristal admired him. The clown was busy. It seemed only food could take his mind off juggling. The door to the stables was locked. Kristal wasn't allowed to enter without supervision. The tall lady's cat was tormenting a pigeon. It hit she would need. Obviously, the cat couldn't speak, but if it could, it would probably have said something like, When the cat was gone, the bird chirped. Everyone knows birds can't speak either, but Kristal imagined it had something to say. Kristal couldn't decipher the name on the envelope. She would have to ask around to find its recipient. The merry-go-round had reminded Kristal of the mechanic who used to live at the circus. The two of them got along well, and the mechanic used to let Kristal ride the merry-go-round after the circus had closed for the day. Now the big chunk of metal just stood there as a monument of what the circus used to be. The ringmaster was in a wild argument with a large officer. This was the sheriff. His presence meant trouble for the circus. He was a disciple of the eagle, the tyrant who ruled the country. Their affiliation was official by the emblem he carried on his chest. Before Kristal came close enough to hear their conversation, the ringmaster slammed the door in the sheriff's face. The sheriff pushed Kristal aside and left the circus. The well-dressed, lanky woman was prima donna Luciana Valentina Scorticini. Kristal called her the Tall Lady for simplicity. She used to be a famous opera singer, or at least so she claimed. But she had left that life behind when she joined the circus. When the ringmaster brought Kristal to the circus, the Tall Lady protested. Kristal never really understood why, but it was clear that the Tall Lady hated her guts. At first Kristal felt rejected, but eventually the Tall Lady grew on her. Kristal began to see through the insults and recognized a friendly tone behind the cold facade. Kristal figured that banter was just the way the Tall Lady connected with people, and so she played along. Kristal had no choice but to comply. It was her job to serve the circus performers after all. But where would she find water? The goose had moved into the circus the same day as Kristal arrived. It was most of the time it just sat on the roof and gazed out over the horizon. Kristal imagined it was missing its family.